guys came to steal a catalytic converter about a year or two ago. My other neighbor, we're all very close on this block. We're like a special block. My other neighbor came out to shoo them away, and they took out their guns. And then somebody else was starting to drive down the street towards them, and they're waving them off with their guns and waving large off and said, "You better get back in your house, lady." Just
Wow.
freaky stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy here, but yeah, lots of things happen around here.
Yeah. Are you in Chicago?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of people in Chicago. Karen Ann, who teaches on here on Tuesdays, she's in
Oh,
Chicago.
okay. Okay.
Yep, she just went and saw Tori Amos at the library or
Uh-huh.
someplace, which is
Okay.
pretty cool. Um, and Wayne Stills is in Chicago, also
Oh, okay.
Rev Wayne. And
You
so
should you should send us you should. Could you send us all like a little link of each other's addresses or ask them if they want to be linked up?
sure.
If I could
I'm
find
sure
them.
they would,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay.
I'm sure
That's
they
cool.
would.
It's so fun when somebody comes to your home that has been in the groups. I had only Lori and then Mickey. I met when I was visiting my relatives in South Carolina. But it's so important because when somebody's on the same look, they're all the same because we're just seeing ourselves. However, when somebody's a course student and you meet each other, it's something sweet. It's a sweetness. It just is, right?
Yeah. Well, because you're
So,
looking at yourself, but it's the self that's working on this
uh,
something else.
Right. It's like we're comrades.
Yeah, there you go.
We're here doing the same thing and you have the same goal in mind. And that's something you don't find with all the people that you deal with in the regular world. You
Yeah.
know, it's always fun when you find somebody who is, though. It's always cool when you meet up with somebody who, has the same sort of spirituality or some philosophical, thought that you can share together. It's like, wow, yeah, there's, I'm not alone, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know in this little town where I live, there are some Course in Miracles students, and they do meet in a group. There's a group of them that used to, I don't know if they still do,
Yeah.
but when I first found A Course in Miracles, the only thing I had was the DU group in Aussie. So that was all I knew. That was all I knew, really.
Yeah.
And you know, you couldn't have had a better actually than Aussie Marie as
Yeah.
a mighty companion, man.
Yeah.
I did an interview with.
Ozzy, you told Ozzy about me, and we spoke too. Like she became a friend of mine.
Oh, that's
She
right.
would help.
You are
Yeah,
friends
because
with Aussie.
yeah, no, she was helping me for a while, like coaching me, because for free, she didn't charge. I was struggling with Jonathan at the time. You know, there was so much resistance. Like
Sharon?
I guess something happened to my computer. I said,
Yeah.
anyway, I forget what I was going to say, but
Ossie? You were talking about Ossie?
I was struggling, yeah, with Jonathan, and we did Byron Katie. She was so kind. She had already lost her son, and it was just all about love. And she loves Ken Wapnick. Ken Wapnick, I noticed people that study under him, they have that willingness, I think, to just know that this is really a process and we can laugh our way out of it because when you start laughing, you're no longer in the ego. Egos don't find this funny. It's the higher self. It's a part of us or the neutral part of us. I don't even know. But, laughter will save so much of your life and crying. Like when I know I'm going to cry, I just want to cry. It's like a release of all this garbage that's in the system that shouldn't be, that isn't really ours. So,
Well, speaking
anyway,
of laughter, let's look at our book.
yes.
We're reading Never Forget to Laugh, Our Personal Recollections of Bill Thetford by Carol Howe. And I just saw Alan Ishak, who I think you saw also on John Monday. Um, Sharon, I'm talking about you. I think you've seen him. Anyway, he is at Carol Howe's house. He's doing a biography of Carol Howe. So
Wow, is he really? Oh, that's so sweet.
I
Yes,
know it's awesome. Yeah,
mhm. That's just sweet.
yeah. So I'm real excited about that. And I was watching a video with him with Hakeem Hamza, and uh, and he was at Carol Howe's house, and she was in the back, kind of trying to lay low so she didn't get in the scene. And I'm like, man, this is it. He's hanging out with Carol Howe. What in the world? It's so amazing. And to me, it'd be like, well, like hanging out with Ken, or not quite, as the same, but Ken, definitely is my main go-to. But Judy Scutch, uh, you know, all, all those people that were there from the beginning, and still are with us. Such a John Mundy, you know,
Yeah.
what a gift for us to have that. What a gift for us. Um, so let's see. So we had just
I
read,
agree. I 100% agree.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I feel like, speaking of generations, we are we are in the second generation, really, basically, of A Course in Miracles. So, and that's the thing about Aussie too. I hate to keep bringing her up, but because she was a student of Ken's in New York,
Yes.
I
Hmm.
have that whole interview that I did with her. Marcy, did I ever send you that interview with Aussie?
I don't think so.
It's pretty dang cool. Hey, Karen.
Oh, yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to see that.
Oh man, it's
Oh,
really,
Karen's here. Oh, wonderful.
yeah.
Yay, everybody.
So I interviewed her, and it's a kind of a long interview. And so we talked all about how she first found the course,
Hmm.
found Ken, and of course her son when he passed away, and all the different things.
Wow.
It just was amazing. And again, I became more and more amazed by her, because I mean she's definitely, talk about, a healing. Um, that's that girl. And, I'm just so grateful for her that she was the one who paid for me to go to California and go to the academy with Ken for a week. And I'll always cherish that. But yeah, just such a brave person. So anyway, so we had just read this, and I think we talked a little bit about it. I'm going to just read. This is Carol Howe talking about Bill Thetford. He was also willing, as a demonstration of love, to do things he really didn't care to do, but he honored those who asked if his guidance so dictated. Do not mistake this for being wimpy, having no boundaries, or being unable to say no. For sure, when Bill felt it was not right for him to do something, nothing in heaven or earth could move him from his position. He really lived this admonition. And this is from A Course in Miracles. Suppose a brother insists on having you do something you think you do not want to do. His very insistence should tell you that he believes salvation lies in it. If you insist on refusing and experience a quick response of opposition, you are believing that your salvation lies in not doing it. You then are making the same mistake he is, and are making his error real to both of you. Insistence means investment, and what you invest in is always related to your notion of salvation. Yeah, so she's talking, basically Jesus is saying, if you think if it's that important that you're willing to just flat out say no way, like when my husband said I'm in love with another woman, and I just said forget that, because I thought my salvation what had to do with him just loving me and nobody else. Then that's the trap I fell into right there. Um, and it was my notion of salvation. So Carol continues. As one example, Jerry Jampolsky remembered this favorite. You know, he never exercised, and I thought maybe if I bought him a jogging suit for his birthday, he might get interested in walking and doing things like that. He said, no way am I going to do that, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll let you take one picture of me with that suit on. He took it off and never wore it again. He wasn't going to a gym. Actually, he did walk every day, sometimes more than once, and he enjoyed that a great deal. It made possible the wonderful experiences so many had on those walks. But true to his word, he never went to a gym. And then there's the picture of him in the jogging suit. Oh my goodness. But I mean, he had a heart condition. What the heck, No, Jerry Dombrowski, keep your gym membership to yourself. Uh, anyway, anybody have anything to say about that? All right. So Jerry was also aware of the great love and brotherhood they felt for one another, exemplified by Bill's willingness to serve on the board of the Center for Attitudinal Healing, which was the last thing in the world his ego would want him to do. I remember his infinite patience with me. I asked him 1,000 questions and later came back with more. His willingness to do his best to listen to the voice was amazing. What I remember about him was that steadfast commitment. He was like a rudder on a ship going straight in the direction toward God. And that's Jerry Jampolsky talking about Bill Thetford. That he was consistent, constant and consistent, honest, as A Course in Miracles would tell you. Jason Kane remembered, this is a quote from this guy, Jason Kane. He would never think of speaking himself, but as other people asked it to speak of him, he would. That was one of his forms of generosity, as if to say, if that's what you want, then I'll talk. Another thing he gave me was the sense that if there was anything he could do to make me comfortable, he would. He mostly did that with his presence in terms of reassurance, not verbally. He honored people for who they were and let them know there was nothing about them that he judged. He supported your being. And there we go. That's that unconditional positive regard that Carl Rogers talks about and that Marshall Rosenberg talks about. That's how Bill was. He looked and he saw and he judged not. He honored people for who they were and let them know that there was nothing about them that he judged. He supported your being. Man, what an incredible thing that is. For any time that I can be in a relationship with a person and trust that I'm not being judged and I don't judge them, that's miraculous. And isn't that fear of judgment that keeps us from getting close to people in a real way, is a thought that they're looking at me and they're thinking this and they're thinking that. Have you ever met somebody who just you could not imagine that they were thinking anything about you other than that they loved you, that you are holy? Imagine having that kind of relationship with another person. And Jesus tells us in A Course in Miracles, the way to have that is for you not to judge your brother, to look at them and see the Christ in them. See the face of Christ in everyone you see. You will remember God. So it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing. Karen, I see you have your hand up. Please go ahead, hon.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good. Yeah, it is the same thing. And it's also the same thing as where he says, the way to heal a brother is to see the sanity in him. And it makes me think that maybe Bill was so much like that. Number one, because he listened to guidance, but also because he was a gay man and, he was probably judged throughout his life for different reasons, maybe. I don't know. But, when we're judged, we learn that we don't like it and we don't want to judge others. We want people to accept us for who we are and how we are, and I noticed that. And in my relationship with my uncle, I noticed his whole life he was judged as a junkie, as a no good, as you name it. And I saw beyond that. I saw the beautiful, amazing human being he was. And and we can see that in everybody, like you just said, we see the Christ in everybody, every living thing, and remember God. It's beautiful. And so that's one of the reasons why we're so close today, is because there was no judgment, and I saw the truth in him, and I try to see the truth in everyone. And we're at peace because we're really judging against ourselves. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Karen. And that's exactly it. And that's the way, that's the only way to find peace, right? That's the only way to actually find peace, is to not judge. Because, what's making me lose my peace? My judgment about what I'm seeing. And, if I stop judging, then I won't be seeing that anymore. That's absolutely true. I mean, that's absolutely true. When I stop looking for it, it will stop appearing. I mean, it only makes sense, right? Anybody else have anything that they would like to share? Or I would want to ask if anybody else would want to read. Let's see. I guess no one else wants to read. So, okay. So Bob Beale occasionally visited Bill in Tiburon. And this is Bob Beale talking about him. One of the things I loved about him was his gentle manner, and that he subtly offered some really powerful insights, always made in low-key statements, and I was very receptive to listening. Sometimes people try to give you advice or insights and they come on fairly strong, and one instinctively pushes back. He never made empathic statements, and I had no feeling of wanting to push back with Bill. It was a delight to experience his gentle manner. I can distinctly remember when it was time to leave. I would go up that hill from Tiburon over to San Francisco, and things would really just start to vibrate. All of a sudden, I'd really get what Bill said. And I just want to go back to what he says, uh, that he never made, emphatic statements. That's why I was like, emphatic statements. Okay. So he was a gentle person. And, what you had mentioned, Sharon, about him being gay, that he probably did have a much gentler manner than uh, your manly, masculine men. And so, even if people didn't know, there was still a lot oh my gosh, in the 50s, 60s, probably 40s. I was not alive at that time. There was a lot of hatred, homophobia. Um, and so, yeah, I can just imagine. I mean, there's a lot now, but it's out in the open, and you hear about it and see it all the time. But back in those days, it was kind of, everything was kept quiet on the hush hush. And just to think that he had to hide himself all the time. And he had to hide, who could he be open with? Who could he be honest with about his life and who he was? Um, that's that must have been just so difficult for him to have to hide himself like that all the time. Uh, so okay, so yeah, so he was a loving, gentle person, and obviously a good model for us. So let's see here. Okay. Bill always modeled the wonderful way we can be helpful to each other without being oppressive or giving advice or fixing. How comforting it is when information comes through the loving presence within, rather than from the ego's critical perspective of, quote, here's what's the matter with you, so shape up, unquote. It's not that Bill saw things and then had to work to overlook them. Somehow they fell off the radar screen for him. He touched people deeply because it was his goal to be aware only of their underlying love, and he was determined to let go of judgment. It was not in keeping with his goal of unconditional acceptance to try to change a person or buy into their fears. Bruce Gregory met Bill at the sketch home in New York, which he described as, quote, Miracle Central, unquote. He left Manhattan in 1979 and moved to rural Arizona, where he worked in a prison. Being closer then to Tiburon, he visited Bill occasionally. Interesting that he was working in a prison. Those visits with Bill, though small in number, were quality times with a gentle, settled soul who was kind enough to hear out my challenges in my personal and work life in a small town that was friendly but openly critical of anyone who wasn't quote unquote normal. He also provided such kind support as I tried to integrate my spiritual yearnings with the fact of being gay in a world that did not really understand or accept either. So that's really what he's talking about, because obviously he was gay as well. And man, I can imagine, I mean, what life had to have been for, you know, just the way that our culture is so, uh, I don't know, testosterone, test, um, what is
It's
it?
testosterone.
Testosterone, yeah. That's, I mean, really, that's our culture is so embedded with that, and for a man to be gentle, just especially during those times of war when we were out there being as uh, I don't know, aggressive as we could, lots of aggressive stuff going on in the world, and all of it, being caused by that 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 intolerance and hatred. It's pretty sad. Uh, anyway, does anybody else want to read? It's my voice is getting really tired.
I can read.
Oh, and Karen has her hand up. Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. I just wanted to say, in reference to Bill, we teach what we want to learn, and Course reminds us that to give and to receive are one. So he wanted acceptance and he wanted compassion. So he taught it because that's what he wanted for himself. Because, it had to be hard. Like you said, it had to be hard, especially in that era, hiding that, and not being able to. And look at all the movie stars that hid it, that got married just to hide that they were gay because they knew they wouldn't be accepted. Look what happened to Ellen DeGeneres when she first came out. I mean, it took a while for people to accept it. And it's this old idea, and it's the old concepts and beliefs. And that's what this whole undoing process is about, is undoing all this old junk that is not the truth, that is a story we made up, and so really I can see that with myself. I just want, we give what we are teaching what we want to learn, and we all want to be loved. I mean, that's really all we all, when it comes down to it, we all want to be accepted. So I could see that Bill was reflecting that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that too, Karen. And wow, it's so good to hear you out walking. I love it. Oh gosh.
Lynn, do you want me to read?
Yeah, please.
Okay, just stop me wherever you want to talk, whenever you want to say something. Where am I going now?
Bill was able from the top of the page.
Okay, Bill was able to exude acceptance and normalcy and even a little feistiness about my self-acceptance. I can't say that I resolved my issues completely with its help, but I certainly did come back to my new home after my visits refreshed and with more peace of mind, along with the magic of self-acceptance and acceptance of others, even in their bigotry. That was a miracle for me, in that I saw no need to fight or struggle to change the minds of others to accept me as I was. It was more important to accept them as they were. I then found that this started to translate into acceptance of the inmates I worked with in my substance abuse groups. Although there are many examples of how Bill's supportive attitude led people to greater forgiveness and thus to a more rewarding and helpful life, excerpts from Bruce's essay are typical. I'm sure that when I asked God if I should go with my friends out to Arizona for this new life in forming a small spiritual community of friends, and the answer I got was go, that some interesting plans for my healing were put in place. I had spent my life avoiding any kind of bullies after a rough encounter in the third grade, me too, in third grade, leaving me with a firm but fearful decision to never trust anyone again. That firm rule had never really been changed until my move to Arizona. When I went for a job, there were only two available skinning coyotes seasonal and counseling inmates at the local prison. I wanted neither, but I had to earn money to pay off my part of the mortgage. The prison paid better, and it was steady pay, so that's what I chose. My first day on the prison yard was a nightmare, as I got all sorts of comments and catcalls and whistles from the inmates. Not a great beginning, especially when I didn't want to be there. But since skinning coyotes was definitely worse, I knew I had to find a way through this. I went home that night to the peace and quiet of our new home and tried to sort it out. I figured that the inmates had responded to my fears and found an opportunity to feel stronger than me by comparison, especially in their one down position in prison. I decided then and there to choose to go beyond my fears of the inmate bullies and focus on my desire to be of help in whatever way I could. I went back to work the next morning and I never had another negative encounter with them in the 27 years that followed. In fact, one of the highest compliments I've ever received came from a fellow counselor who told me if ever a riot were to break out among the inmates, he was planning to stand behind me because no one would ever hurt me. Bill helped me to develop this inner calm from his own example. And when I was asked to work with medium custody inmates, did I read that right? Yeah. A rougher, tougher crowd, I found myself dealing with personal attacks again, this time in the classroom from those who didn't want to be there, but were required to be for their own good. At this point, again, with some time spent with Bill under my belt, I found myself not caring about the obvious barbs intended to put me down, but caring more for the inmates' well-being. It was a newfound freedom that came from this that eventually led to a greater acceptance, appreciation, and even joyous love for the inmate bullies that I had so assiduously avoided all my life. I'm going to just pause and have a drink. Did you want to stop and say anything, Lynn, or
No,
anybody?
but this is pretty remarkable that he is able to do that and because it's a world we're projecting. So if he was projecting that he was going to get beat on or picked on, that's what happened. And then the next day he went back with a different thought in his mind that he was only there to be truly helpful. And so that what he was projecting was just unconditional love. And they sensed that and they loved him forever because of it. They
Yeah.
remembered that forever. I mean, I love the idea that they would love him so much that his fellows were saying, if anything ever happened here, I'm going to stand behind you because I know they're not going to attack you. That's a remarkable shift that happened. Why? Because he was willing to see only love. Whereas, if he had been there just like, well, screw these guys and, they're going to upset me. I'm going to just make sure that they, don't have a good time or whatever. They would have known that too. And so they reflected back to him what he was experiencing. And, think about it, people that are in prison have a lot of time to just be in silence. That's one thing about people being in prison. You have a lot of time to just be there with your own mind. And so, that makes you a lot more receptive when something really, really loving comes into your awareness or environment. So I love that. So anyway, I'll let you continue reading.
Okay, I had a comment.
Yeah,
I'm
please
still
do.
working on the class before this one, the group we had. But
What?
huh?
Can't hear you.
Oh, where did I go?
You're there. I can hear
Oh,
you.
okay. No, so I was just had a little flashback to when I was bullied in grade school, and because I was teacher's pet, and I was just thinking, God, hang on, Wally, stop. I was just, I'm gonna think that I gotta move it. Come here, come here. So I was thinking about that time, and I used to go up to the teacher, and we'd have these little chats. Like I finished my work, and then I could go up to the front and talk to the teacher. What an idiot. Oh my God, I set myself up for that. And one day I wrote, well, everybody was talking. What am I supposed to do? So I had to write the names down because that's what I thought I had to do. I didn't have to do any of it really, but I didn't think, no, no, I don't want to do that as an option. And so one day I leave for home and there's like a thunderous noise behind me. And it's like almost the whole school coming toward, for me, because I knew it was for me. And so I ran to somebody's house and I was safe. But then some other guy, I still remember his name, he came to warn me that they were after me, and he's the one that got beat up. But then I jumped to the thought of how I think my husband's a bully and he thinks I'm a bully. And I'm like, oh my God, we're just the same. Because I just flashed on that he was also bullied when he was young.
Yeah, and
What
me
what a
too.
weird feeling. It's just like, oh, how come I never have talked about that?
See, until it comes up, you don't even recognize it. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, so I was bullied when I was a kid too, because we moved around a lot, and I was always the new kid, and I had
yeah.
this big birthmark on my neck. It was just a big red, blob,
Mhm.
and people would always think, they tease me about it and call me names and, push me down and uh, tell their parents would call the school and say, you got to get that girl out of there, or I'm not sending my child
Oh
back because
my
he has
God.
a terrible disease. And, I mean, it just was humiliating for me a
Yeah,
lot of the time when I was a little kid. And, I know that's why I'm so protective of other people being bullied, but that's it. I'm protective of it because I'm afraid of it.
yeah,
And then I have to look at exactly as you're saying, Marcy, where am I a bully too?
yeah.
Because I am.
Yep. And then the solution my parents had was we moved.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it was very well, the neighborhood had turned violent, and anyways, outside of that issue, but like gunshots going off at my brother's school, but and then I got a bully teacher for sixth grade. So yeah, it's followed me.
They're all there for you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm gonna start reading again.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, gonna have another round.
Oh, Karen has her hand up. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, you just reminded me when I first started listening to Kate Greaves. If anyone listens to her, they would know her story. She always thought that this bully was the problem, and she had a bully at work. And until she started practicing Course in Miracles, she brought that bully with her in every situation. And that's what
Yeah,
happens until we recognize that it's not the bully, it's not anything outside of us, it's the bully within. Then she recognized that the problem was within her, that she was reflecting out onto this seeming bully, that she
yeah.
really learned a great lesson. And she shares that early on in her teaching. So you guys just reminded me of that. And I
Oh,
thought that was
thank
so
you.
helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sharon has her hand up. Go ahead, Sharon.
I feel like I'm finally getting this, on a deeper level. I was in the head and then it had moved down, but it's kind of like what Karen just shared, and thanks, Karen, is, when we project, we're only seeing our own thoughts anyway. So if we think somebody's beautiful outside of us and are wonderful, that's reflected back at us. But I never slowed down to see what I was really doing to myself, to my wholeness. And also, I noticed a couple times that I've had meltdowns how very selfish the ego is. It's a very selfish mechanism. It does not care about anybody but itself. And that's the narcissism that it has. A lot of people say, well, we're all narcissistic, but we are. We have to be, because we're talking to ourselves all day long, feeding a story that's supposed to get us somewhere. And the story is a dead end. So the addiction for me, I shared this morning that it's truly a 12 step for this mind. You know, get honest. Like, the truth is, how long do I want to be a servant to all my projections? There's no world out there. It's all my projections. And then I like to be like the victim that says, well, and it is true, it's a process, and I'm going to fall down probably every day, if not even twice a day sometimes. But the goal here is to get the clarity to really see deeply that we're doing this to ourselves. And maybe somebody can explain to me something. Like, we all have choice here. But, what happened, I read Liz Cronkrite's book, and I've heard other teachers say this is true. Like, Ramash Bhaskar, Nuskradata, this is all happening by itself. So we have will in this seeming relationships. That's what A Course in Miracles is. It's about relationships. However, in the bigger picture, from what and I don't know either the right answer, so somebody can help me. If it's happening by itself, then that's in the script. So where do we have choice? If somebody can be, because I think the ego's just trying to block me now, so I won't understand it. So there you go. Somebody answer if they feel the need to answer.
So where we have choice is in how we see it and what teacher we see it with. So we don't have choice about anything in the script in the world of
Right.
life. I don't have choice about the words I'm saying right now. The only choice I have is how I'm going to see it and who I'm going to see it with and how I'm going to interpret it and if I'm going to learn the lesson from it. Because it's not like a fixed script of this, then this, then this, then this, then
Right.
it's a script that's full of lots of possibilities. And,
Right.
it's like your choose your own adventure story. So, if I do this, then this will happen. If I do that, then that'll happen. But, it's all set up. So, and it's all, whatever it is that I've asked for to heal my mind. So,
Yeah. What happened to Lynn was she she was so much at peace and everything was just perfect. And then when her consciousness really rose high, you know, out came the darkness. Now, I said, didn't you like go in sync with the right mind? She said, well, I am the right mind. I had enough fall away. So there's always maybe a limitation in everyone's way of perceiving this course, because the clarity coming through right now is that yes, I can do this, but I've got to pay attention and not fall asleep and listen to the right mind. Because the wrong mind has no clue what we are. And the wrong mind thinks this is real, and then I become that. What I was noticing is when I get upset or anything, we're just the emotion. Like if I hate, then I become hate because there's no entity. It's just thought. So if I'm angry, then I'm anger. It's somewhat like, I don't know. It's the kids' movie that's Inside Out. I mean, that's something for everyone to see in here because it's all about cartoons with the emotions. And that's what, consciousness gives us so many hints, but the opening is very, very slowly. That's all. Thanks.
Well, it's only how much we're able to take at a time too, because maybe today I'm willing and able to learn to see that, how I'm doing it to myself, and so I get shown a little bit more, but maybe I'm in resistance because I'm not feeling well or I've had an upset or something like that, and then I get shown in a different way, but it always is the same lesson that comes back over and over. Yeah, Marcy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still on the bully subject.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if I've mentioned this. I've mentioned it to Sharon one-on-one, but I don't know if I've talked about it in class. But I have this gym instructor that I've been with for 1,000 years in groups. And it's like my social life, and not totally, because I don't really see too many of those people outside of the class, but it's nice to go somewhere and exercise and blah, blah, blah. So this last, well, actually it started maybe a year ago that she started playing music really loud, and I had my car accident and my concussion and all sorts of other issues. And I couldn't handle the sound. So I got her to lower it, but it was like I have to go outside through a side door and exercise outside and wear headphones and earplugs. And then I'm in another class on Tuesday mornings, which I'm not, actually, it was canceled today. I was debating. I got yelled at in the class, uh, I think a week or two ago, where I was facing my peers because my memory is not so grand. And I was just following what they were doing. And I got yelled at and told I should turn around. And in my head, I interpreted that as a nasty tone. And so I've been debating what I'm going to do. Can I stay in that class or do I just have her online whenever? And I don't put my picture up or anything. And so, but I know that when she yelled at me, it's not like I don't yell at anybody else in my own house. I usually don't yell at too many people, except for the lawnmower guy that while I was walking my dog came towards us with his lawnmower. I yelled at him, but and I'm so then here Sharon, we're talking, and when I found out she was reading Parents and Children, I was like, "Ooh, I want to be in that group." And then I'm torn between which class, should I go to which class should I do? And I'm realizing I'm not supposed to go to that gym class anymore because Tuesdays is the day that Parents and Children in this group is on, and this makes much more sense to me. So something has been in my face saying, no, you're done. You can see that teacher another time, a couple more times in the week online, but you don't need to go in person where you can't control the sound. And now you're getting yelled at. So I'm just excited about it because I thought there was like a choice. I thought I had to, prove my point that Jordan was wrong and I'm right. And none of the seniors need to none of the seniors need to have their ears blown out during this class. But if somebody else will have to take it, if they want to pick up that argument, they can pick it up. I'm done with it. So I'm excited about that.
Well, and you know what, Marcy, this is going to probably sound crazy, but she had that loud music on for you
I know.
so that you would see that and you could figure,
Yeah.
otherwise there'd be, there's no purpose to it. The only purpose is to heal my mind.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I have to come to recognize, that whatever it is, it's happening for me, not
Right, for me.
to me. And
Yes, ma'am.
oh,
Oh my God.
I'm responsible for the world I see.
I'm just writing down happening for me, not to me.
To me.
Uh,
Oh
yeah, that,
gosh.
that that almost, it just feels like a relief because now there's no decision. I don't have to keep calling them and saying, why aren't you helping me, staff at the, going from one supervisor to the next and above and above and above till I get the head of the Chicago Park District. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Yeah.
Isn't that
Okay.
funny? Oh my gosh, we're just so crazy. We're so crazy. And that's it.
Yeah.
The whole purpose of all of it.
And I
It-
did see her as a bully.
yeah.
And part of me still wants to see that. I have to, that'll take a little bit of work looking at that.
Yep. She's your own personal bully, you see? So,
Yeah, I don't even have to pay. Well, it's a free class on top of it, so I don't even have to pay her to be my bully.
but you do have to attend the class. And, uh,
Yeah.
that's the thing. If you're attending the class, then, you're ready to rumble.
Yeah. But what was funny was she said when she said that turn around, Marcy, like that, I was like stranded in space because I was like, I mean, I have the ego going through my head and alternatively the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, well, she's been so good to me about turning the sound down, but now I touched one of her chairs and turned it around, and I'll turn it right around. But I don't want to turn myself around. So I'm arguing in my head in a split second. And then I did turn around because I'm like, yes, she did do something about the music, but now I'm getting harassed and treated poorly about something else when I was also treating her poorly.
Yeah, yeah, and no matter, here's the thing, you set it up.
Yeah,
If you hadn't have wanted to have that experience, it
I
would
guess.
have happened to you. And so, this is why this course is so it's confronting in that way,
Yeah.
because it's like, I told you I got in an argument with my husband over something really dumb. And
Mhm.
so I came in here to my room where my computer is, and I thought, I'll just try to, you know, relax a little bit, maybe snooze in the chair if I can or whatever. Of
Uh-huh.
course, Prudence was playing Ken Wapnick, and Ken Wapnick was saying, you think you're the victim, but you're not the victim.
Uh,
And you set it up this way, and I'm like, oh my God, Ken, can't you just give me a break now for just a minute? But I knew is because I was I was just sitting here just listening to that and going, that's what I'm doing, all right. This is exactly what I'm doing. This is very, it's but still saying I still want to be mad.
yeah.
Still want to be, I still want to be upset about this. It just cracks me up. It's so funny. So does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Karen, yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you for sharing that experience, Marcy, and thank you, Lynn. And I just want to say that I'm in complete agreement and that it is happening for us. And what Lynn shared too, because you said you were still mad, and that's the classroom for me, to look at how much this is still affecting me. Look at how much I'm still allowing this to bother me, and look how much that I might still feel like a victim, and that this person was wrong and I'm right. And to look at that, and once I keep looking at that, and I recognize that the cost is I'm losing my peace. And I recognize that, and I don't want to lose my peace anymore. And then I see, well, I must have decided wrongly because I am not at peace. And I can decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. And so we work through it, and then we recognize that, yes, thank you. This is happening for me. And I am grateful for this experience now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's just so funny when you start watching your own mind, right? Because the other thing I'm sitting here thinking, he should come in here and talk to me and ask me why I'm, but I have this whole thought in my mind of, I is still listening to Ken telling me the absolute truth. I'm still sitting here plotting how to be right. So anyway, Sharon, please go ahead.
Well, I'm laughing because that's what we all do. I mean, it's like the ego gets it, and then it weaves another story on it. And by the time we don't realize that it's really not us or me, I don't realize it's not me. I'm already engrossed in it. I'm already like hypnotized. I feel like, well, that's because it's familiar. It's just familiar. And what I see today was like a workshop. Since this morning at 9:30, I think playing this again, because for me, for every mind we learn by repetition, but there's something that deepened today that really had me really see that it can't be anybody else ever. And yet I'm sure the ego will try to make me forget it, because if I don't write things down, it goes like that. And I think that the way everybody shared today was so therapeutic, because we're all on the same page. It's not like you give up in this, you can't give up. But the higher self has done such a phenomenal job with synchronicity, with a lot of the things that come up for us, because the higher self too is part of this. The ego itself is just working for the higher self. It's the instrument. Well, it's the tool. It's the tool for the mind, but it's not who we are. So I just want to say this was a great morning so far. I just loved it.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank
Yeah,
you, Sharon.
thank you everybody, because yeah, it helped me get some things in order.
I love that. Okay, let's see. I'll read for a while because we have a few more minutes before we start looking at chapter 15 again. So I don't know how we arranged it that way, but anyway, here we go. So understanding his, in brackets, the childhood bully's background, as well as my own attack thoughts, helped me to break down the barriers I had built toward everyone and forgive my bully. I've never met him again, and yet I have met him in so many others, especially in prison. Even the inmates have told me, I know you. You're the person I used to give such a hard time to. We both knew that we were speaking of substitutes later in life, but we could see that we were both moving beyond our old roles. So I thank Bill for his loving encouragement not to be afraid. I know it meant a lot to have that deeper part of me recognized and energized by his knowing gaze. And that's really beautiful. That's really interesting. I mean, the prison was in Arizona. I wonder if it was over in Sedona, where there's a big community now of, um, spiritual seekers and Course in Miracles teachers and that kind of stuff. Interesting. Okay, so Carol continues. Bill had not always been consistently supportive and accepting. For instance, none of his friends at the CIA told of, excuse me, I have to move this thing. One of his friends at the CIA told of going to lunch without him after they had specifically planned to get together. She apologized and indicated that she and her friend had simply forgotten about his going, but that it certainly wasn't deliberate. Bill replied that was worse, interpreting her explanation as obvious rejection, though perhaps not on a conscious level. He told her, quote, we go to lunch together, but then at a subconscious level, I'm not someone you want to be with, unquote. She still remembers being quite taken aback by that comment because he was serious and not playful about feeling rejected. And yeah, I could see that. Okay, a famous magician of the early 20th century. Oops, I just heard a clink. Does that mean my pal talk went out? My pal talk went out. Hopefully it'll come right back up. Uh, who is that? Okay. Oh, probably Carrie's the only one in the room, I think, is about talk. Uh, anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's see. A famous magician of the early 20th century, David Werner, aka Die Vernon, spoke of the deep hunger within us for the numinous divine power. Okay, why in the world does she have to use these kind of words? I don't even have a definition here from, I don't care. Creative energy, spiritual elevation. We love the idea that something mystical and unexplainable can occur. A true magician can project and change the experience of those he influences. In that way, Bill was like a magician, although it was not contrived but automatic. Through his openness to them, he could invite people into a sense of self and was delighted as he witnessed that occur. Let's see, do we have time? Yeah, okay. Francis Vaughan speaks of a particularly important aspect of Bill's acceptance. One of Bill's gifts was a presence that enabled people to grow. He was very accepting. He never tried to impose his own views on anybody. I would describe his way of being as an absence of personality noise. He created a safe place for people to be who they were. He was definitely very attentive to whomever he was with. It was as though he didn't need to make up any room. By making a space for you to fill up, he made you feel that you could just be who you were. When I talked to Bill, I felt he really listened and could understand what I had to say. That was one of the nicest things about him. He wasn't full of his own agenda or ideas about the way things should be. He provided a spaciousness and a quality of listening that was very deep. I felt he gave loving, non-interfering attention to everyone. That is a great gift that can be very healing. And wow, that's what I aspire to. And I see Glorian's hand is up. I'm going to go ahead and stop this share because we're about at the end of our time. We still have time to talk though.
Yeah,
So go ahead,
I,
Gloria.
I just wanted to say numinous. She pretty much explained it. I don't know how you say that though. Numinius, maybe numinius. Having a strong religious or spiritual quality, indicating or suggesting the presence of a divinity. So I think when she put it in quotes, the next couple of words explained it.
Okay, yeah, and that's basically what she said. So very interesting though. This is really, I mean, of course we're reading about Bill Thetford, but we're talking about ourselves. Um, that's the beauty of it. Yeah, go ahead, Marcy.
Okay, I mean, I probably won't be in the next class, but I'm going to leave the computer on so I can hear it when I'm wandering around the house. Um, I'm just thinking, numinous sounds like luminous,
Yeah,
so maybe they're related.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, very interesting. I don't know why. Well, because people use the words they know.